A pleasure to meet all at last, and HJN Season 3 proudly presents a polar opposite to Friends, which I have talked about earlier this week. This is simply going to be about enemies. Yeah. If you thought that Friends was interesting to talk about, you definitely ought to know a few things here and there based on enemies. If there's one thing that I can start with, it's probably the simplest fact that enemies are probably one thing to have in life. As we've known in the film Shorts from 2009, sometimes you gotta have enemies to know who your friends are. I find that to not only be true in any subliminal form or any potential situation in life, like what we've been going through in recent times. But I find this statement to just simply understand the fact that not everybody is going to like you for who you are. I myself have several key things here and there. I've had a prior history of weight problems and some health risks associated with it, and even though I have managed to actually retract some of these issues by allowing my entire body to drop itself off, I tell you, even all the hard work and stuff, it might be paying off, but sometimes it's probably not going to undo all the damage that had been caused before then. The extreme insults that people have put up against me, the threats, the terrifying comparisons to John Candy and Chris Farley. Yeah, I remember all that like it happened last night. And then of course I've also talked about what's happened above my head. I happen to be one of those 70% people who happen to lose all their hair before age 35. Of course, it's something that's in progress at the moment, but it's a little more obvious now than it was back then, almost 10 years ago. Man, time sure has changed. They sure have allowed me to realize myself a lot better and a lot more differently. But then a few other things here and there. A lot of things about my background are a bit different than the norm, which of course does mean some people will have different opinions about me, different viewpoints about me. But do I let any of that stuff get me down? Not really. I might carry the burden of certain weight for the rest of my life, on my shoulders, my gut. Oh man, a lot of my joints are actually feeling a bit sore now. All the hard work I've done, all the good meals I've had, the kind of which that are supposed to help me feel better and probably look better over time. There's still a lot of work that I gotta do to make it optimal as much as possible. This thing can probably take years, maybe even decades, for it to be truly perfect. But even with all that in play, am I going to be able to look back at certain things in a different way? Probably. If I receive full closure on certain things, get it to meet up with these same people whom have made fun of me by any means, then I'm sure we can eventually settle with some closure to the subjects at hand. Unfinished business will now have answers to them. And the many, many things that had happened back then, I'm sure will have fully absolved by this point. And all the people that have talked really badly about me by any means, even if there is no sense to it, I'm sure that they would have had themselves a good reason for it. There can never be any excuse for people to have to act up like this, to have to be rude, obnoxious, and absolute manic by any means. And I'm not going to just simply let certain things go. I'm one of those people who demands answers to the questions at hand, who demands closure to unfinished business, who demands a final chapter as a way to properly close the book in life. If I don't get any of that, of course I'm going to keep bringing up certain things. Of course I'm going to have certain parts of my past brought up here in the present, many years later. People think I should change. People think that I should move on from this stuff. But that's not possible. You see, if someone creates an insult of you, then the thing is, you're forced to carry it for the rest of your life! So it's definitely not possible to just let it go. Whatever's in your memory is burned in there for the rest of your life. It's like an internet post of someone making themselves a complete mockery in front of society, and then they don't delete it. Like something really embarrassing for all of us here on planet Earth. And they don't even think about deleting it or doing anything better with their lives. I could sure discuss a handful of problems here, problematic people, especially those whom have conspired to rape children. Like, why do people do this? Why do people go as far as to do something terrible? If they're not valued, they should change up their attitude. Change up their life. You don't go out there and go against minors like this. And that's just the thing about it. I have many people in life that I will always despise. It doesn't matter if they change. No, Victor Salva was supposed to serve 3 years in prison for being convicted of child molestation. But he only served 15 months, which isn't even half the sentence. And on top of that, he hasn't even showed signs of changing. That is a big problem, if you ask me. It's worse of a problem now because look at how sensitive we've become about this. We have certainly been a great neighborhood watch crime service of our own. Especially if no cop in the entire country is going to do their job properly. So, that's just that. I don't have much else to say about it, you know? I'm always going to hate certain people for things that they have done to me, but I'm certainly going to hate those people who have done things to other people even more. If they mess with them, then they mess with me. If that makes sense to you at this point, then you have better give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what would you like to see next. And I'm sure that it shouldn't involve as much rage or as much undeniable anger like what I've unleashed at this very moment today. But also make sure you follow me on any other platform I got. I don't have much else social media at this point. Because what's the point at this point? What is the point? And also make sure to stay on the Hollywood side. And I'll see you then.